Caitlin Clark is a somewhat of a big star.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen something like her since LeBron James from a hype aspect, not necessarily a playing ability, but it
Mm-hmm.
seems like ESPN's really latched onto her and is
Yep.
trying to get this going. Um, but yeah, so I think ultimately, Caitlin Clark would be a big benefit to either AEW or WWE. WWE always likes to do things with celebrities.
Yep.
Even if she was just there, I think it would get a pop.
Like tonight,
Yeah, like if she,
Jalen Brunson, and then Tyrese Halliburton comes out.
which they didn't really have to do anything. They didn't have to take a
Nope.
bump, but they're like squaring off.
Yep. Hey, let's talk your favorite pro athlete uh, cameos in wrestling. Nick's saying that Caitlin Clark will definitely be involved. Hey, there we go in the Women's Royal Rumble. You heard it here first. Nick is making the prediction.
Yes.
There we go. Oh, we like it, Nick. There you go. Stand behind the hot take. So Caitlin Clark will be there. The crossover is coming. Yeah, again, thinking along with us, especially after tonight's Knicks Pacers deal. Yeah. So
The
and maybe Nick, you want to tell us in the chat there. We're gonna go through who's your favorite athlete cameo in wrestling? Because the WWE has done this for a long time. It is usually with football players, and this goes all the way back to I'm thinking Lawrence Taylor headlining WrestleMania one year with Bam Bam Bigelow. They did have Shaquille O'Neal, basketball player, but he's as big as a football player. So it's usually football players. Two Eagles players participated on the outside of this year's WrestleMania. They've had football players before. Sometimes make Rumble appearances, sometimes for battle royals of other sorts, sometimes in a match here or there. I'm also thinking back to Kevin Green and Steve McMichael in the WCW days, who had
yeah.
a longer run, especially McMichael. He was in the Four Horsemen
Oh,
for a
right.
while.
Wow.
Yeah, McMichael was in the Four Horsemen for a while.
That's
And of course, there have been other guys who are great athletes who,
Floyd Money Mayweather at one point fought
did a boxing thing.
did a
Yes,
boxing thing with Big Show,
with
which
Big
I
Show.
thought that was cool because Floyd Money Mayweather is meant for pro wrestling. He just has that
Okay.
attitude, and he's always playing healed.
Well, let's do a little thing here. We're gonna discount boxers and MMA guys because they're a little too close to wrestling.
Hmm.
Tell me your favorite person who became famous in another major sport who had a cameo in the ring.
Mm.
Give me your favorite. I'll tell you mine. It's someone we haven't mentioned yet, but back in the WCW days, and these were not football players, they were NBA players. Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman appeared in the main event of a pay-per-view
Oh yeah,
during the NWO days, and those guys were pretty good.
yeah, right.
Like they did not make fools of themselves. I did not think in the match.
Mhm.
They did pretty well. I liked it.
Rodman was a piece of work. Coming out
Right.
with the NWO, smoking the cigar, he fit right in.
Yes.
He came out smoking cigars, which is
Yep.
crazy. And he was cool.
And Karl Malone fit right in there with Diamond Dallas Page.
Yeah, that personality fit well with DDP. And Dennis Rodman went on to do very interesting things with his life for sure.
Yes.
Very, very, very interesting guy. And then Nick had another comment here. He doesn't think Caitlin Clark will wrestle, but she'll be involved like Kelsey was in the WrestleMania this past year. What do you think
All
of
right.
that?
Very good. But you're saying that, in a few months, 6 months, 7 months time, when it's Royal Rumble time, that Caitlin Clark is still going to be a big enough star in Indianapolis.
We forgot one. Nick called it out. Pat McAfee. I forgot about this.
Okay.
How did we miss him?
Pat McAfee was the best, hence where he is now. What did Pat McAfee do? Was he a wrestler? Did he get in there and have a match?
Yeah, he wrestled Adam Cole on NXT.
Okay.
Yeah. So this must have been when you weren't watching.
I was not watching.
Yeah, he had a good match with Adam Cole.
Okay.
Also, if you can remember, he did. Were you watching when he did the WrestleMania match with Austin Theory and Vince McMahon? That whole thing.
Oh no, my first WrestleMania back was 39.
Oh, you missed the whole train wreck with Vince McMahon, and he
Okay.
he and Vince McMahon had a match, and it was like Vince was so old he couldn't do anything.
I caught the train wreck with Shane McMahon at WrestleMania 39.
Yep, I think we were just a year late here.
There it is. Yes, he has two matches. The one with Adam Cole, and then you're saying the one with Vince McMahon.
Yeah, he had like a match with Vince McMahon. Um, I think he Austin Theory lost to him. So Vince McMahon's boy was Austin Theory, so he went to avenge him and said, "Ring the bell," and went in and wrestled him as a complete surprise, not even announced as a match. So like it wasn't even built or anything like that, built up, and Vince starts wrestling Pat McAfee, and it was not good.
Is anything with Vince really a complete surprise, though?
Right.
Like, okay, Vince McMahon is ringside at WrestleMania. There's no way he'll last minute book himself for a match, is there?
Right.
So yes, Caitlin Clark, big star. Of course, Bianca Belair was talking about her because they were talking about opportunities for women in sports nowadays. Mentioning how Caitlin Clark getting all the, as you mentioned, John, maybe the biggest rookie story in basketball since LeBron James, as far as the treatment she's getting from big media. And of course, Bianca Belair was there to make that analogy to the WWE and how the women main event WrestleMania now, or main event other pay-per-views, and they get a lot of TV time, and they've earned it. It's not like a charity endeavor or something. Like they wrestle really well, so a lot of these women athletes have earned that TV time, earned that match time. They're really good at it. They're really entertaining. They're fantastic athletes. They're fantastic wrestlers. And so this was a good segment. Again, go to Comic Book Nation on YouTube to see the complete interview. Seth Rollins also gets an interview a little bit later, but check that out all there. Let's stay with maybe some off-field star stuff. Ronda Rousey. This comes to us from the Los Angeles Times, filtered through Yahoo Entertainment. Ronda Rousey is writing a graphic novel. It's called Expecting the Unexpected. She's launching a Kickstarter for it. It will be a Rousey-written 160-page book with illustrations by award-winning comic artist Michael Deodato, slated to be published next year by artists, writers, and artisans. Fans have 30 days to order the book.
Nick, thanks so much, man. Really appreciate it, and you were a lot of fun. We're here every Friday night, so anytime you're on YouTube, subscribe to see us, and we'll be here Friday night. But and jump on in. I appreciate the comments, buddy.
And of course, you can jump over to YouTube anytime you want and see the rest of this show, because it will be archived there under the live tab. So very good. Thank you, Nick. Expecting the Unexpected. It's apparently about saying, do you ever get an idea in your head and you're laying in bed and you just can't get the idea out of your head? This was basically her idea. The story revolves around a notorious hit woman who goes by the code name Mom because she wears a fake baby bump filled with weapons. After she sleeps with a fellow assassin, however, Mom becomes pregnant for real and has to come to terms with the notion of being a parent with a bounty on her head. It sounds like an interesting story, not too much cookie cutter, although it's a little bit based on her own, I guess, difficulties with her husband, former UFC fighter Travis Brown, in trying to have a family of their own. It really is our story. Although I really didn't go on a spree of fighting all these people, but it was kind of their story in a sense, but now just as hit woman and hitman. So This is interesting. If you're a comic book fan out there, that we just did an interview by Comic Book Nation. If you're a graphic novel comic book fan out there, is this the kind of thing that you would be interested in here?
And there's a lot of wrestling fans, I'd imagine, right now that are in the comments or are watching. Let us know what you think of Ronda Rousey right now, kind of post WWE, her career. I know she kind of did some shoot interviews where she wasn't so nice to the WWE. Some of the stuff was fair. They were saying,
And
talking
especially
about,
not Vince McMahon.
yeah, some of the stuff was fair about Vince. I mean, he probably deserves his comeuppance a little bit here. But let us know what you think of Ronda Rousey.
A lot of action sequences. I wrote all the choreography for it in the script.
Mhm.
Actually, had to film them. This is talking about appearing in some movies and TV shows. But this is her trying to take her experience as an athlete, as a combat sports athlete, and a pro wrestler, with a little bit of real life mixed in there. So good for her.
For sure.
Would she be willing to turn the graphic novel back into a screenplay? Twist my arm and I'll do it. So hey, she seems to be a creative person. That's good. I've written about some of the struggles of trying to be a creative person when maybe you're not. Maybe you're not that much of an idea person. So good for her that she's got something else she's up to. Let's talk more about movies. Dave Bautista. He's in the movie The Killer's Game, and when he saw in the script a part that they had written, he said, I know a guy who can do that perfectly. Drew McIntyre.
Wow.
And so that's how Drew McIntyre got cast, because, Batista's reading this and going, oh, Drew McIntyre would be great at this. Yeah, there's Drew saying, Dave called and asked me if I wanted to be part of it. He had a conversation with the director. They were looking for a couple of characters who were hitmen. They needed someone who physically looked like they could take on Dave. That's him. That is Scottish and sometimes unintelligent when he talks. Good sport there. Comedic side, and Dave went, I know that guy. He actually exists. He's called Drew.
Right.
So good for Drew McIntyre. We are seeing a lot of Drew McIntyre's charisma lately, aren't we? Over on
sure.
X, Twitter, he is doing a parody of CM Punk. He superimposed his face onto CM Punk and is parodying a CM Punk interview about quitting AEW, where he's now going, which sick freak made this when it was Drew? I turned to Paul Levesque and I said, this place is a joke. You're a clown. I quit. He's doing CM Punk parodies. More than that, you may be able to see a little of it here. Drew McIntyre's profile on X, Twitter, is him mocking CM Punk. His avatar is a bloody CM Punk.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre gets social media, and if he didn't actually hate CM Punk, he's doing a darn good job of acting like it.
Yeah, he's done a great job. Drew's really come out of his shell, if you will.
Yep.
Especially with Punk and just burying him like left and right. He wasn't usually doing like the internet burying stuff, but I think he's always been a face. So now that he's a heel, he can do all this stuff. He should have been doing this as a face, quite frankly.
Right?
You
can do this as a face if you do
working.
it the right way. Year and a half ago, we did our grading show, grading sort of the first 3 months that we were watching SmackDown. And we were giving out grades, and Drew McIntyre, guys like him, Sheamus, New Day, we gave them a C grade because they were competent, but if they were off TV for a while, you didn't really miss them. They were just kind of going through the motions with, week to week feuds here and there. Drew now is doing better work than that. He's the kind of guy who you'd miss him if he were gone.
Oh, yeah. He's entertaining on the screen. He's hilarious, and he's a monster, and he's good in the ring. So, yeah, has all that going for him.
He has a lot of stuff going, and apparently he's got a movie role going for him, thanks to Dave Bautista, who saw the script calling for a large Scottish character and said, "Hey, Drew McIntyre, come on
Right.
down." Another big wrestler has been on screen, Hulk Hogan. The Who Killed WCW series is going on. Hulk Hogan was interviewed by Justin Barrasso at Sports Illustrated about the series, and Hulk Hogan said, he wants people, he hopes that people get out of it that it's covered properly of what Eric Bischoff was up against in trying to save WCW, or at least buy the promotion and keep it on TNT. That there were just a lot of people on TNT who just did not want, they just did not want it there.
Yeah.
I can tell you what killed WCW. There was no way WCW was going to survive, not under those circumstances. Hogan is referring to the merger between America Online and Time Warner that took place in 2001. Without a strong advocate for wrestling on the business end like Ted Turner had repeatedly been during his successful run with Turner Broadcasting, there was no future at WCW with their new parent company. It's like the opposite of Tony Khan. It's the opposite of the owner just loving pro wrestling.
Yeah.
It's the owners of the network who've now just, because WCW was Turner owned. So when AEW brought Turner, they kind of bought WCW, and it was like, no, we just want to unload the property, and so WWF bought it.
Yeah. And they got it for nothing. It was a
Right,
steal.
almost nothing. Right, it was a steal.
Complete steal, because now
Have
they
you
have.
watched any of this series, the Who Killed WCW series? I
Yes,
have not.
And it's kind of funny that you bring this up, because is it at the top? You said Hogan hopes that um Benoit shows what the odds
That Eric
was up,
Bischoff was up against.
or yeah, the shows the
Eric
odds.
Bischoff was trying to buy WCW and its TV deal to stay on the air.
Mhm.
And when, as I've heard the story go, I have not watched the series, but the story's been out there for years. That once the new owners of TNT networks made it clear they did not want a wrestling program on their network, then it became worthless.
Yeah.
So
Hey-
I'm not going to buy this wrestling program without a TV deal.
So what Bischoff did on the first episode was he buried Hogan. So it's funny that he was
Really? And
Oh, yeah.
here's Hogan sticking up for Bischoff.
Hogan sticking up for him and completely buried him. He's like, "Oh yeah, we really messed up this one finish with Sting and Hogan just didn't want him to." There was a way that they finished one of these matches, and he said that's how it was.
Starrcade 97.
Yeah.
Leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth.
Yeah, Starrcade 97, and they had built up this storyline, and Hogan did one of those "it's not going to work for me, brother" kind of situations. But he ends up losing, but in a real goofy fashion at the end there.
Yep.
So not really clean.
No, involving Bret Hart,
Mm-hmm.
who had just jumped from WWF.
Yeah. So
That did not kill WCW.
yeah, but it was funny that Eric Bischoff, that Hogan's like sticking up for Bischoff, and Bischoff's burying him in the first episode.
Yeah, well, they're all heels, right? They're all stabbing each other in the back. But
Right.
maybe Hogan's more of a baby face now in his retired days, with his fun bar down in the Tampa area, slapping that guy on the butt and sending him through a table last week. We had that in Cheap Heat. Go check out Cheap Heat from last week for the June 21st show.
I'll be right back with them.
Sure, let's jump over to WrestleZone. Nick Aldis saying that WWE would benefit from being able to use TNA's history to tell the full story of a lot of their wrestlers, because wrestlers jump from promotion to promotion if they've had long careers. And it'd be great if you didn't have to ignore that. If you could acknowledge that when a wrestler comes in. We see them doing more of that. We see with the Tongas in the bloodline that they're acknowledging that these guys were multi-time tag champs in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Maybe I forget the number they may have thrown out. They were seven-time champs over there. So we do see some of this coming up, but it would be cool, especially if they have a little partnership with TNA, to be able to tell, say, like Drew McIntyre had a run in TNA Impact. Kurt Angle had a long run in TNA Impact. Nick Aldis himself was Magnus in TNA Impact. It would benefit them to be able to tell this story. LA Knight, I think he was there as Eli Drake for a while, and he was the TNA World Champion. So there are a lot of guys in WWE who have histories in these other promotions. What do you think, John? And we'll throw this out to the chat and the comments as well. Would you like to see WWE acknowledge more of the other promotions and the history that their wrestlers have in them? Or would you like them to sort of stick to that old school kayfabe where, if it didn't happen in WWE, then it didn't happen?
No, I love the crossover between the promotions. AEW's done a fantastic job with it. And they've got New Japan, they got CMLL that they work with now. So they have all these other companies that they work with. And they send wrestlers, like right now, John Moxley is the IWGP heavyweight champion. And he's wrestling for AEW, so it's really cool.
Because TNA has a rich history at this point. I was there. I came into TNA arguably at its peak in 2009. We were doing a couple of million viewers on Spike TV. Those are huge ratings today. That's what Fox does and what Raw does. What USA does for Raw, what Fox does for SmackDown.
Yeah.
It would be beneficial, particularly you look at AJ Styles or Drew McIntyre, LA Knight. Yes, all world champions at TNA. Being able to sort of cover a significant part of a character's history. So yeah, that would be cool. Especially since wrestling fans a lot of times know guys from different promotions. The first SmackDown that we did, Don't Bury the Lead, I recognized Eli Drake. Our very first one. There he was. What's he call himself tonight? LA Knight. I remember him. That's Eli Drake. And his thing with Eli Drake is it's the 3 syllables. He would point to the crowd and go, Eli Drake. So he's got that same kind of name, LA Knight. I wonder if he's going to do the point with the crowd, LA Knight. And sure enough, he did it. So yeah, there are some wrestling fans out there who know these guys from other promotions. I think that's a great thing. And Nick Aldis is the perfect guy to talk about it because Nick Aldis was big history in TNA. Also, NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. So he's a guy who, and when he came into WWE, the reason why it was such a big deal is because enough wrestling fans knew him from those things. It was like, wow, Nick Aldis is here.
Right.
Because they knew who Nick Aldis was. Like, we knew him.
Yeah, right? For sure.
So that's a good thing there. Let's move on now. We've talked about Natalya being a great trainer of the younger wrestlers. We've seen her working out in the dungeon with Jade Cargill. She's doing it now at BFAB. And BFAB, of course, is talking about this. Training with you has meant the world to me. Your passion for the business has grown my passion. Energy matching energy always. The boat, the best of all time. And because Natalie had posted this video, very proud of how hard you're working to be the best. So fun watching you grow because WWE is trying to do more with BFAB now. She's in the Pride with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. And here she is getting in there wrestling, offensive moves, defensive moves. She's in the dungeon, learning to be a better wrestler here.
I like that she's doing this, BFAB, because I want to see her stay on the roster, and I'm pulling for her. And she was in a really bad faction there for a while, and now she's out of it. So
now she's out of it and doing well. And Natalya, of course, and the dungeon, she's all over X. A dream match of sorts is coming up. Both of whom trained at the dungeon. Did you know that Io Sky trained at the dungeon? I did not. No. So did Utami Hayashishita. I am mispronouncing her name in all likelihood. But This is supposedly a dream match coming up at Marigold Summer Destroy pay per view in July, the Queen of Queens match. And they had both trained in the dungeon. This is Natalie giving huge ups to another promotion, and of course, isn't it great WWE letting Io Sky and go do this?
Yeah, why is she doing this? Or why are they letting her do this? You don't really see this too often.
You don't see this too often, but maybe because other promotions are doing it and having success with it,
Yeah.
that WWE's like, yeah, okay, let her go, let her have a dream match in Japan with Utami. It's Io and Utami. Um, great match. I almost want to see this.
Mhm.
I don't know if I'll be able to get the pay per view. It's probably at a weird time for me being in the States. But
Mhm.
if there is video of this match in particular, I will watch Io Sky and this person I've never heard of before, but I've seen a few clips. I will not play you this clip because we've gotten strikes against us when we've tried to do that before. And,
Mhm.
it's just not worth it. I'll just put up this screen grab of the match promo there at the end. But yes, if anybody winds up having video of this match after July 13th, see if you can get in touch with old Dom here at Don't Bury the Lead. I think I'd like to watch this one. I'm, of course, impressed with Io Sky. Um, and especially what she's done as a singles wrestler. She was a great tag team wrestler. She became an elite level singles wrestler. And I bet this is going to be a great match. I don't know the other person in it, but I bet it'll be a great match.
Yep.
What do you think? Maybe it's in the Tokyo Dome. I don't know. Does Dave Meltzer give this 9.5 stars? What happened?
Oh, it's in Japan. Guess what? It's going to the moon. It's gonna be.
But
It's
it's
gonna
a
get.
women's match,
Oh,
so
that's
like
true.
he discounts it, and it's with a WWE person, so he doesn't like that. So I mean, there's a lot of conflicts of interest here.
No, you're right. Women. He hates women, so he's gonna. This will be 2 stars. No,
Just sorry,
man,
this,
it's gonna be so conflicted because it's in Japan and he loves Japan, but it's women. Does he just can he ignore that they're women and give him his 7 stars?
this might be. We were talking before. One of our past WWE um, things we went over during Cheap Heat was all the matches from since we've been watching that Meltzer rated 5 stars. And we brought up the question of any Io Sky matches that you put there. And we said, well, her best one was with Bailey at WrestleMania. And maybe because of the way they built the feud.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe this will be a 5 star match. I think it'll be entertaining. Again, I may not be able to get this pay per view just because I'm halfway around the world, but I would love to see the match.
Mhm.
This would be fantastic. Let's get to some wrestlers who are maybe not active at the moment because they're rehabbing, like Charlotte Flair, posting this to her Instagram. She tore everything imaginable in her left knee in a match with Asuka. She is getting to strength. Apparently, her left quad is within 20% of the right quad. And that's really important because anytime you tear a joint or break a bone or something where your limb has to be immobile, you start losing muscle mass. So it's not just the joint or the bone or the ligaments that have to heal. You've got to build up, your strength in your body parts again. So this is good news for Charlotte Flair,
Yeah, for sure.
uh, saying that her left leg had to be in the 40% or less deficit for strength compared to the non-surgical leg. She's at 20% or less for as
Mhm.
far as the deficit goes. That means her left leg is 80% and above of the right leg, and that's great news. That means she's on her way. What do you think, Charlotte Flair back before or after SummerSlam? They
After.
originally said maybe 9 months, which would have to be after SummerSlam. But do you think she's making it back for SummerSlam in a month and a few weeks here in early August, or do you think she'll have to wait until the fall
After. I think
after?
I think give her a lot of time off because if you cram her in before SummerSlam, she'll debut, and then what? You throw in a random
Yeah.
match.
Yep.
So, you know, I think after SummerSlam, it's like, oh well, she's back. The crowd goes crazy.
Let's do after. You covered this in a great short where you did an analysis of his move and what happened to him. Adam Copeland, an injury update for the elbow off of the top of the cage through barbed wire that he did at an AEW premium live event there. It was at AEW Double or Nothing. He posted to Instagram that that's what his left foot looks like now. That's the part of his leg that he broke. That some of the swelling is trying to go down there. He's recuperating. He's still a long way away. The article from WrestleZone that quoted him here, saying that let's see, better gauge 8 to 10 weeks before his leg is ready for weight bearing. 8 to 10 weeks. So still a few months away for Adam Copeland.
Yeah.
But, he's on the way there. You just threw up a chat I saw there. Did I miss it? Was it?
Oh no, it's an old one. Sorry.
Okay.
It just said great stuff. Where we have to head out. Love the show, fellas. So
hey, more great stuff on the way in Cheap Heat. Another wrestler who's legit injured, Rhea Ripley. She's injured, and she is not only recuperating from her injury, she and Buddy Matthews get married in Australia.
Wow.
And in fact, this was June 23rd, so a few days ago, Sunday, June 23rd in Australia. They got married. They had been engaged. We covered that. They were featured in People magazine right before their wedding. And then, of course, People magazine went rushing to update it that, hey, they just got married. We just profiled them and they got married. But they're getting some mainstream press. So this is not only good news about wrestlers recovering from injuries, but also a great mainstream story and a personal life story there for Rhea Ripley and Buddy Matthews. Buddy Matthews was apparently written out of AEW programming for a while with an injury angle, just so he could be off TV. What say you about this?
People magazine's pretty big.
Yeah.
I know it's not the same publication as it used to be, but People magazine is they pretty much follow celebrities, so they have to identify those two as celebrities.
Celebrity and celebrity relationships. They have made it. They are celebrities now.
I noticed that so Jason Kelsey was just a player that everybody liked in Philly. And once he started making his podcast with his brother, he started to blow up. And People magazine started doing all these articles about him. And I was like, why is he in People magazine? I'm like, oh, he's a celebrity now. He's not just a football player.
Yeah, you become a personality. I mean, if you're in the public eye, there's a chance you'll be a celebrity. You can be a celebrity for being a musician, an actor. You can be a celebrity for being an athlete.
A YouTuber?
YouTuber, Logan Paul. Yeah, hello. There you go.
Hello, People magazine. Where's my article?
Don't bury the lead. We need a profile of John and I on for what we're doing here. Don't bury the lead. People magazine, don't bury the lead. I mean, for crying out loud, WWE watches us to get story ideas. How many times do we have to go through that?
Triple H has been on one of our streams and talked to us. So guess what? We're celebrities. Put us on your magazine.
They were named Breakthrough Wrestlers of the Year by CBS Sports in consecutive years. So they are stars in the business. They are stars out of the business. And they are now husband and wife, although for rival promotions. But hey, people move companies in the WWE and in the AEW and in TNA, ROH. All the big promotions, New Japan, everything, Major League Wrestling. You never know. Maybe they'll be in the same promotion at some point in their futures, like Charlotte Flair and Andrade. Andrade just came back around. So they were in separate promotions for a while. Now they're husband and wife in the same promotion. So
I wonder if they had a bunch of AEW and WWE guys at this wedding, if it was big.
Yeah, that's a good question. We do know that another Judgment Day fellow stablemate, Dominic Mysterio got married recently, and there were Judgment Day people in attendance who got the crowd to boo him. We covered that in Cheap Heat. That was entertaining.
Right.
Yeah, I went. Now this was in Australia, so it was a long hike. I think they got married in Australia,
Oh wow. Yeah.
so that would have been quite a hike for them.
That might be send a card. I'm not going.
Yeah, right. That's sorry, it's too far away, and some of us still have to work. You know,
Right. Right.
we're still working. Had she managed to do this around a tour of Australia, then maybe they could have done it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they're mentioning it. I think they mentioned that it was in Australia,
Mhm.
at some place here. So yeah, it was a while away. We also mentioned the former Madcap Moss and Emma getting married. They were also covered in People magazine. They got married in Hawaii, halfway between Minnesota, where Madcap Moss is from, and Australia, where Emma is from. So yeah, a lot of professional wrestlers. Now that pro wrestling is a bigger pop culture thing, you see them more in places like People magazine. Like 40 years ago, People magazine wasn't going to cover Dusty Rhodes, right?
Right.
Hey, People magazine fans, he's the son of a plumber.
No.
He's Dusty Rhodes. Let's interview him. That wasn't happening.
No. No.
Now mid Carters get featured in People magazine, all the time. The pro wrestling is pop culture now. It's celebrity stuff.
Can you imagine the interview with all the slurs?
Right.
All the his accent. Hey, baby.
Yeah. And he's got to keep kayfabe for it.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys want to interview Dusty? The lisp. I can't do a good Dusty. Now I'll try it. I'll work on it.
There is a shorts that you made of me pretending to be Dusty Rhodes, booking himself going over all the pies at Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah.
Find that in our YouTube channel, in the archives, the shorts. It's me doing it. We got into how Dusty Rhodes basically, because we were talking about Survivor Series and War Games at Survivor Series, and how Dusty basically invented War Games so he was the booker, so that the Four Horsemen would get their comeuppance, and he would just book himself and his team to go over the Four Horsemen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I got an idea. How about we go over you guys in the War Games? And then it was Thanksgiving weekend. It turned into, just booking himself to go over the pies. So head on down to the pie window. It's not the pay window, it's the pie window. Head on to the pie window, because we going over the pies. Check out that old shorts there from this past November Survivor Series time. Late November, early December.
That's a classic.
Right? I was doing a pretty good Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
That's what I got. It's pop culture, it's glitzy, it's glamorous, it's all over the airways in the news, but when we do it, it's still cheap. And it's still heat. It's cheap.
Cheap heat. There we go. All right.